Thank you so much, Nzinga. It really was quite interesting in the last few minutes of the trial. Just now, we do know that the defense attorney who is defending accused number 1 as well as accused number 2, and he is defense attorney Sipho Ramusipele. And what the defense attorney raised an objection to is the fact that the state prosecutor, Advocate George Baloyi, was attempting to redirect different parts of the testimony that we heard throughout the course of the past 2 days of the state witness that's on the stand right now, who is Nthokozisi Twala. So what Advocate George Baloyi is trying to do, he's trying to lead his witness into correcting a few inconsistencies that have been made between his oral submission that we've heard over the past 3 days, as well as his written submission. And this is obviously the witness statement that he wrote initially in 2014, shortly after the shooting of Bafana Bafana soccer star Senzo Meyiwa. And what the big argument is all about right now is whether or not the defense can, at this junction when he is leading the witness in his testimony in chief, if the state prosecutor can at this junction redirect those questions and those inconsistencies and ultimately get his witness to put a specific version that's in line with the state's defense or the state's argument around where the different participants or the people that were in the house were sitting or standing in the house, as well as which intruders were standing where, and which intruder had a gun and which intruder had a knife. So Advocate Baloyi is trying to make sure that his witness is able to put to the court and clarify those inconsistencies. But we do know, obviously, from the defense lawyer, Sipho Ramusipele, he's saying that at this juncture, this is not the correct juncture. It is not legally, procedurally. And we saw initially that the judge, Judge Maumela, adjourned briefly for about 10 minutes to try and consult with the criminal procedures law book. And they're trying to look at section 190 of the Criminal Procedure Act to see whether or not it does allow at this junction for the prosecutor to be able to redirect, I suppose, lead his witness into changing various parts of his testimony that he has already testified to in open court. So we came back for about another 10 minutes where all the different defense lawyers were basically putting to Judge Maumela why they objected to the prosecutor attempting to do this at this junction. And Judge Maumela then said, look, we must adjourn early for lunch so that everybody can go and consult correctly. The critical words really is at what point the redirect can happen. Can this redirect happen at this point while the prosecutor is leading his witness, or does the prosecutor have to first wait up until the defense has conducted their cross-examination before redirecting his questions to the witness to try and clarify some of the inconsistencies that have come out of his testimony? So it is extremely important. It's a critical argument really for the defense, because at this point, if those inconsistencies are not corrected, it means that the defense would be able to then do their proper cross-examination and really pinpoint and zoom into the different inaccuracies. However, if those inaccuracies are changed, that would mean the defense would have to also adapt and change their line of questioning to the witness, because now obviously that has been corrected, some of the inconsistencies that were in his two different witness statements. Nzinga.
Nozintombi, tell me more about who is inside court today, also police presence and media presence there as well.
Yeah. So Nzinga, the main witness that's on the stand is Nthokozisi Twala, and he's been on the stand since Tuesday. He's been on the stand giving his testimony. So this is basically his testimony in chief, and the state prosecutor, Advocate George Baloyi, has obviously been leading him in that. And we do know that in the morning, the first part of his statement, of Twala's statement, or his witness testimony, was to just give clarity and conclude the last part of the story that he was telling us yesterday around the torture and the beating and the assault that he experienced at the hands of the police in 2019. And what Twala was saying in his testimony was that as soon as the police dropped him off at his house in Mlazi, he went to the nearest police station to open a case against the police. And he says he went one step further, and he also tried to contact IPID. But he says that IPID was extremely unhelpful and unable to assist him, or unwilling to assist him, and kept taking him from pillar to post. And he says this added to the frustration and the anger that he experienced in 2019. And he says that incident has still traumatized him till now. And after that last part of his testimony, we went into different elements around whether or not he participated in any documentaries made about the incident. And it then led to the issue around the inconsistencies and the argument of Section 190 of the Criminal Procedures Act. But inside court in Zinga, it has been a high police presence. We've had police officers from the Kosimapur, a specialized task team from Kosimapur, as well as the local SAPS here, all carrying very heavy machinery, AK-47s, and making sure that they are keeping a very close eye on the 5 accused that are sitting currently in the dock. We have seen some media presence. It was quite a large number of media people that were here on Tuesday, but obviously that number has sort of dwindled a little bit. But we anticipate that once a cross-examination gets underway in earnest, then we'll start seeing more media interest picking up. And that's really been the sentiment at this stage inside the Senzo Meyiwa trial. The issue around what the technicality of Section 190 of the Criminal Procedure Act has really thrown a little spanner in the works of how the day was supposed to proceed, because we do know that Advocate Baloyi was actually about to wrap up his testimony, his leading of Twala of the testimony before the cross-examination was going to start. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon in Zinga. We're hopeful, though, that after the lunch break, clarity will prevail and we'll get a sense of whether or not we do continue with Advocate Baloyi being able to redirect his client in correcting those inconsistencies, or whether or not we will be starting in earnest with the cross-examination of Mthokozisi Twala, the witness who is currently on the stand in Zinga.